Clearing today. Yale was the 8th best team in the country, or I should say 5th, last year by clear percentage at 92.4%. Stanford not too far behind at 90.6%. Kalignin didn't get much on that shot, and it's an easy save for Lucy Pearson.
And I think it was deflected a bit out of her stick. She had the space and she had the time.
Pearson played in 2 games last year, a total of 20 minutes and 11 seconds for Stanford, but she was the #1 goalie and the number 20 overall recruit in the class of 2022. Katie Gilbert fires wide, backed up there by Jakes. So it's really 2 young goalkeepers we're seeing today, Christine, but both very highly touted. Stanford getting into the offense here. Bouvier backs it all the way out. Good pass into the middle. Yale zone collapses, but Kelly scores. Ailish Kelly gives Stanford its first lead of the game.
And that zone picked up the cutter just a bit too late there as Kelly wide open inside the middle of the 8-meter, able to finish.
Ailish Kelly, a 2-time first team All Pac-12 selection. Was an All-American 2 seasons ago. That's her 106th career goal in her 50th game in a Stanford uniform.
And give a quality assist there to Riley Bouvier because it was almost like a no-look pass into the center. As we see her bring this out, it was definitely a quality assist.
So Stanford ahead for the first time this afternoon. And we go back to the draw. And Stanford switching up on the draw here. This is Ava Arceri, freshman from St. James, New York, and Smithtown East High School, going against Kalignin. You would imagine just giving Frist a little break here. Draws are 4-4 so far. Kalignin wins it herself. Popped out of her stick, though. A race for the ground ball. Kalignin knocks it away from Arceri for a moment. And finally a whistle, Stanford ball.
Unfortunate there because Kalignin had it about 3 times. Been a little bit of a hot potato today on both teams, keeping the ball on their stick.
Stanford with 4 different goal scorers early on this afternoon. Cardinal averaged 14.6 goals per game last year, which led the Pac-12. Scored just 9, though, in the season opener against Virginia. Cut through the middle here. Case with it. Runs into a couple defenders. O'Connor with 2 saves so far for Yale on her first career start. Jay Brown. Bouvier back for Brown. Bouvier running out of the double team. 32 seconds to shoot. Pops right out of her stick. Saviano takes that ball and causes the turnover.
Yeah, she completely lost sight of it.
Kind of an unforced mistake there for Stanford. Yale on the run with Taylor Lane. Here is Fallon Vaughn now. Five turnovers for Stanford, Christine. Only 2 for Yale so far.
Yeah, it just seems like the ball is not staying in their basket at all.
Megan Kitagawa slings it over for Lane. Kalignin cutting towards the middle. Lane, Carasquillo score! Tic-tac-toe, and the game is tied.
And this is where Carasquillo's height is such an advantage because they can almost just send that lob of a pass to her and she's just able to drop it in up over the goalie, and it's so hard to stop.
Sky Carasquillo, the junior out of Alpharetta, Georgia. Two-time All-Ivy League selection, member of the Puerto Rican national team. And she scores her first goal of the season. We've talked a lot about the points of emphasis in terms of cards, player safety. One of the other things that's in that document, if you read it, is trying to cut down on the time between goals and draws. There were, quite a few times last year and in the past where it would take, frankly, way too long between a goal and restarting play. So that's on the teams and the officials to try and expedite things a little bit, get a little more flow in the game.
Yeah, for sure. The officials just need to check the stick really quick. Don't need to do it 10 times, just a few checks, and then let's get it on.
It will remain Arceri and Collignon here. And we have a whistle against Collignon. So Arceri has led Stanford to back-to-back draw controls in her 2 attempts today. 9:20 to go, second quarter. Neither team has held so much as a 2-goal lead in this game, but Stanford goes right back ahead. Poliski went right down Main Street untouched.
I think Poliski just caught Yale sleeping a little bit. And I tell you, these low shots are so hard to stop as a goalie. You just have to be able to get down and get your stick there. And Stanford with a good job getting another goal up.
Aaliyah Poliski had 2 goals on Sunday against Virginia. That's her 3rd of the season. She was the number 14 recruit 2 years ago coming out of high school in Tennessee. Enrolled early last January at Stanford but didn't play, so redshirted the year. She's a redshirt freshman, part of Team USA at the most recent USA Lacrosse Fall Classic, and a big-time player, another top 100 recruit between these two teams.
And Stanford, just doing a good job getting all players involved in the scoring.
5 different goal scorers for Stanford. Collignon has 2 for Yale, 1 for Carasquillo, 1 for Claire. And Taylor Lane has 2 assists for the Bulldogs. So every goal that's been scored has been answered by the other team so far in this game. Maybe a big question is who's the first team to go ahead by 2.
Right.
Stanford played a game just like this against Virginia where it was extremely tight the whole way. That's a really dangerous pass, but Frist kind of ran right over Collignon, so it'll stay with Yale here.
Yeah, a little bit of a hospital ball of a pass there, just slow and up in the air, just sends Jenna Collignon to the hospital after that one.
Carasquillo gives it up, tried to throw it back to her, but an errant pass and a turnover. That was Chloe Connigan who couldn't quite connect with Carasquillo. 3rd Yale turnover of the game. Still neither team has failed to clear. Both are now 7 for 7. Approaching the midway point of the second quarter. Bad pass there. It looked like it got stuck in Brown's stick, and Lane picked it up, gave it right away. It's loose in front of the goal, and a whistle against Stanford. Yale ball. Kind of a heart in your throat moment there if you're a Yale fan.
You're just bouncing on the doorstep of the crease.
Mary Megan Wright clears all by herself here. Wright, a junior out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, made her 26th career start today. It's a good mix of youth and experience, really, for both teams. We talked about the recruiting classes they both brought in. Both have 4 returning all-conference selections. Kitagawa behind the net for Connigan. Carasquillo to the top for Vaughn. Less than 7 to go in the quarter. Taylor Everson.
Stanford's defense doing a good job picking up the cutters.
Kitagawa. Now it's Vaughn. Inside towards Lane. Back for Vaughn. She scores! Fallon Vaughn ties this game at 5. Beautiful offense from the Bulldogs. Vaughn to Lane. Back to Vaughn to tie it.
Live sports. Get ready for the rush to the playoffs. The biggest games on the biggest stage. An outdoor hockey doubleheader at MetLife Stadium. The most intense playoffs in sports begin in April and culminate with the most revered trophy of all. The Stanley Cup Final returns to ABC and ESPN Plus this June.
Pistachio cream cold brew.
Thanks.
The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN Plus.
Women's college hoops on ESPN and ABC.
All tied here in the second quarter at Reese Stadium in New Haven. You see Erica Bamford with the pink sheet in her hand there, talking with her group. Bamford in her 8th season as the head coach here at Yale, and you see what she's done the last 2 seasons. 22-12 Yale's record, identical 11-6 finishes. But Christine, you think about what they've done, right? 11 wins in each year. Before that, had not won 11 games in a season since 2008. Second in the Ivy League in the regular season 2 years in a row. Had not done that since 2007. And back-to-back appearances in the Ivy League championship game as well.
Yeah, and you're looking at this squad that she's returning as well. Such unbelievable players coming back and then filling in with those first years like we've mentioned. And I mean, she's going to have another good team this year.
On the other side, Danielle Spencer knows the Ivy League well. She was a 2-time Conference Coach of the Year in 3 seasons as the leader of the Dartmouth women's lacrosse program. Prior to that, had been an assistant at a couple stops, including Stanford. She was there in 2012. Her first head coaching job was Dartmouth, and then got the Stanford job now in her 5th season, 36-21 as the head coach out on the farm.
And Erica Bamford was telling me stories how they used to play against one another growing up as well.
Yeah, both great players in their day. Whistle here on the draw, and it is Stanford ball. It's actually starting to warm up a little bit here in New Haven. Sun coming out on what was a snowy morning turned into a pretty nice afternoon. Poliski here for Stanford, which has 5 different goal scorers in this game, and there's another. Ailish Kelly, her second of the day, and it's 6-5. Although the officials are going to talk about this one.
I mean, it was a great cut, great catch. And I don't know if they're going to get her with the follow-through of the stick again.
Officials are still discussing this. And at least for now, it looks like they're going to wave it off and say no goal. Players still look a little confused here, but the way they're setting up, it appears it'll still be Stanford ball, but no goal there. It's going to be a cross check against Bella Saviano from Yale. So Stanford will be up a player, but right now it's 5-5. And now they've put 6-5 on the scoreboard. So I think it's a goal, and then the foul's going to come after the shot. So it will be a goal and the penalty also goes against Yale. That's one of the new rules this year also, that if you commit a foul after a shot and the shot goes in, it's a goal and then the card still counts. So Stanford gets a goal and a woman-up possession here.
And it's a yellow card, so it's a 2-minute in the box unless another goal is scored.
So an opportunity here for the Cardinal to take a 2-goal lead for the first time today. Neither team has been ahead by multiple goals. Sarah Jakes gives it up for Case. Plenty of time to shoot here for Stanford. Game was tied after the first quarter. Cardinal up 1 here. Ailish Kelly. Now Case, who has a goal today. Olivia Rose. 30 seconds to shoot. Under 5 to go until halftime. Bouvier. Under 20 to shoot now. 45 seconds on the penalty time. Well-defended possession so far for Yale. Under 10 to shoot here for Stanford. Case has to go. Cuts through and a save. Laura O'Connor makes the stop. And Yale will, it looks like, get the kill on the penalty. Still 25 seconds to go, but they just have to clear here, and then they can hold the ball.
And that was a big save by O'Connor there. Stopping Stanford. Numbers up.
Yale is able to clear. And now Collignon will just hold it until the penalty time against Saviano expires. Back to even strength. So each team now has a kill in the game. Yale has the only woman-up goal so far. 3 assists for Taylor Lane in this game for Yale. Collignon, the only one with 2 goals. She has the ball here. Fallon Vaughn for Taylor Lane again. Connigan, goal line extended, Kitagawa. 3:30 to play until halftime. Fallon Vaughn, Connigan again. 20 seconds to shoot. Collignon in front, Connigan, save made. Another good one by Pearson, but there was a whistle against Stanford. Goes against Sophia Brindisi. And with 11 on the shot clock, it'll be a free position chance for the senior from Chevy Chase, Maryland, Chloe Connigan.
That's really a big call right there. Stanford coming up big with the save, but they call the foul.
Connigan gives it up. Yale has to move quickly. Collignon with 8 to shoot. Finds Connigan. She scores! It's great execution late in the shot clock from the Bulldogs.
Yeah, with a few seconds left, I thought they were going to go straight to goal, but instead they bring it out, set up a quick offense with Connigan finishing low and hard.
7 goals last season for Connigan. That's her first of her senior year. And the game is tied again, 6-6. Collignon gets the assist. It's her 3rd point of the game. And it looks like Kelly will be back on the draw, or I should say, Frist will be back on the draw for Stanford. Collignon has still taken every one for Yale today. If you're just joining us, it's been a good one so far between these two East and West Coast opponents, playing for just the 3rd time ever. Each team has won once in the series. It's the first meeting since 2017. And Frisk controls it herself.
Good self-draw by Frisk right there.
The interesting thing, Frist had 50 goals and 18 assists last year, as Vaughn knocked that away from Capana, and then a hold is called against Yale. But as good as she's been on the draws in Stanford's first 2 games of the year, Frist has been pretty quiet scoring. She just had 1 assist in the Virginia game and has no points today. So opponents have done a good job defending her through about a game and a half. Stanford has gotten plenty of scoring from other spots, and they get another from Ailish Kelly. First half hat trick for Kelly.
And I think a little miscommunication on the Yale defense there. Kelly able to cut through wide open yet again. Coming from the top of the fan, and nobody's picking her up.
Ailish Kelly with 6 goals already this season. 34 last year, 43 as a sophomore, 25 as a freshman. Big-time player from Long Island in her senior season. And she puts the Cardinal back ahead with 2:20 to play in the first half. A lot of Stanford players, the overwhelming majority of the roster actually from the East Coast, so tons of friends and family in attendance today. It's a great crowd for both teams here in New Haven, especially considering what the weather was this morning in terms of the snow and what it is right now with the temperature. What a great environment for opening day of the Ivy League lacrosse season and Stanford's second game of the year. It's another violation on the draw, and it goes against Yale again. So Stanford now with a 9-6 advantage on the draws, and they'll have another opportunity to take the first 2-goal lead for either team today.
And for the most part, I feel like Yale is staying disciplined as far as penalties, but then the fouls that they've been losing possession on. So they're not really going down a man down, but they're losing the ball.
It was a great play a moment ago by Jay Brown to keep possession for Stanford. Bouvier for Sarah Jakes, and now Brown again. Dangerous pass, and Mary Megan Wright stepped in. Does end up over the end line, so it'll stay with Stanford, but good job by Wright to jump in that passing lane.
And she's so quick at reading the play.
Jordan Case here for the Cardinal. 3 goals for Kelly in the first half. Poliski, Brown, Jakes, Case, and Bouvier each have 1. That is well wide, and it's backed up by Stanford. Poliski was the closest to it. Pass in front, in and out of a stick. Loose ball picked up by Katie Clare, so Yale gets the stop. And now under a minute to play in the first half. Stanford has had 2 opportunities to go ahead by 2 in the second quarter, have not been able to do it yet. Everson with speed forward. Connigan behind the net, and now Taylor Lane.
Yale doing a good job with that clear, just getting over into the offensive zone.
Carasquillo, a lob pass for Collignon. Back to Carasquillo, score! Tied again. This time it's 7-7.
And how about that move from Sky? Continuing on with her run after she dishes it out. And she just gets wide open, and check out that hop, skip, and a jump, and just leaves it wide open to score.
Yale's executed that give and go a couple times really well. And Collignon now has a 4-point game in the opener. Carasquillo, her second goal of the year, had 18 last season, was honorable mention All Ivy League, and it's 7-7. Not a lot separating these teams right now. Shots, total shots, 14-13 Stanford. Shots on goal, 11-10 Yale. Ground balls, the Bulldogs are +2. Draws, Stanford's +4. It's been a tight game throughout. And as we've said a bunch of times, neither team has led by more than 1. Carasquillo was on the draw that time for Yale for the first time today, but Stanford still controls it. They're starting to gain an advantage in that category, as they usually have against opponents. 10 seconds to work with. Katie Gilbert gives this up. 7 seconds for Stanford. Low shot, score! Wow, how about that from Poliski?
And with the clock running down at the end of the half, she's just able to put this low and hard a sidewinder. And I don't even think O'Connor even saw that until it hit the back of the net.
Just a ridiculous strike from Aaliyah Poliski. Her second of the game and fourth of the young season. And with 4 seconds to play until halftime, Stanford goes ahead 8-7.
And defensively, that's just such a hard shot to stop because she doesn't bring her stick back at all. It's just a short release.
One more draw. It'll be Frist and Carasquillo again. Carasquillo knocked it down, and that's it for the first half. A back and forth 30 minutes of play. It's Stanford with the 8-7 lead at the break here in New Haven.
Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals.
Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
On ESPN Plus. Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals. The exclusive home of the complete 30 for 30 library. Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN Plus. Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals. The exclusive home of the complete 30 for 30 library. Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN Plus. Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals. The exclusive home of the complete 30 for 30 library. Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN Plus.
Levi Jackson was elected as captain of the Yale football team for the 1949 season. His election to the captaincy was unprecedented as the first black captain in Yale football history and Ivy League history. Prior to joining the Elis, he played football and basketball at Hill House High School in New Haven and was a member of the Camp Lee football team in Virginia, where he served as a staff sergeant in the United States Army. During his time at Yale, Levi was one of only 3 black undergraduate students in Yale College and was a member of both the football and basketball teams. He excelled on the gridiron, setting multiple records and finishing 5th in the nation with 806 rushing yards in 1946. In 1987, he was selected as the Walter Camp Collegiate Man of the Year. The Bulldogs stood in solidarity with Levi during times of hostility and racial adversity. In an interview before his death in 2000, Levi recalls his teammates giving their support after being denied access to a hotel dining room in Dallas while on a road trip with the Yale basketball team. After graduating as a triple major in sociology, psychology, and economics, Levi moved to Detroit to pursue a career with the Ford Motor Company. He was a trailblazer as one of the first black executives at a major American corporation and created job opportunities through the New Detroit Committee in 1967. Levi retired as a vice president at Ford following a career that spanned 4 decades. Beyond the accolades, Levi's courage to be the first helped change the course of history and break barriers for those who were to come after him. To me, Levi Jackson being the first black captain at Yale leaves behind a legacy of tremendous character. There is no greater honor in Yale football, and it is truly special that I have the privilege to follow in his footsteps.
These are my tissue box covers.
Remember, tissues come in their own boxes. It's important for young homeowners to let go of the things turning them into their parents. There we go. All right, who's next?
I've been holding on to these pieces of crown molding because you never know when you're going to need them.
I do, and it's never. It can be a lot for them. Do you still own that car?
I do not.
Okay.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto with us.
Empty tubs of butter are for recycling, not for my leftovers.
That's a big one, people.
At Honda, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next. All the way to our latest. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Our latest innovation on the road to being carbon neutral by 2050. And certainly not our last.
This spring is the perfect time to get away with a great deal on your favorite Hyundai model. All backed by America's best warranty, plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Get in and get away now before these deals are gone. Get 0% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Hurry, offers end 2/29.
No todos entrenan por una medalla. No todos buscan más músculo. Lo que sea que estés empezando, la meta eres tú. Hacer algo es darlo todo. Empieza hoy con una prueba en casa por 30 días en onepeloton.com. Aplican términos.
Halftime here in New Haven. Stanford with an 8-7 lead at the break over Yale. We'll take one more break, come back with highlights and stats of the start of the second between the...
You know, he come to my home for summers. When it came to helping people, the gecko was born ready. And his parents argued with me. They wanted him to become a doctor. I said, no, he wants to do insurance and he's good at it.
Well, sure, he's the gecko, but he's my best friend. Like, even back in grade school, while others played house, he protected it.
Hey, slow down! Geico helps find the right coverage for your car and home. You're not my dad.
From cars to home to pets, it's easy to Geico.
At Honda, we've chased down a lot of dreams, each one leading to the next. All the way to our latest. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. Our latest innovation on the road to being carbon neutral by 2050. And certainly not our last.
With features you won't find on Honda CR-V, Nissan Rogue, or Toyota RAV4, the Hyundai Tucson puts the other guys in their place. Namely, the rear-view mirror. Only a Tucson compares to a Tucson. Right now, lease a 2024 Tucson for $259 a month or get 0% APR. See your SoCal Hyundai dealer.
In honor of Black History Month, we celebrate on this day in history. On February 17th, 1963, Michael Jordan was born. Originally turned away by his high school basketball team, Jordan went to the University of North Carolina and majored in cultural geography. He then went to play for the Chicago Bulls, where he began his legendary professional career. Christine, I don't know, legendary might be an understatement.
One of the best, definitely one of the best.
I would say the best, but I guess you and I have to have a debate later.
We'll talk about that.
Anyway, good game here in the first half, right? 8-7, Stanford with the lead over Yale. Neither team led by more than one goal. It's really been back and forth the whole way, and the stars have shown up on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, they really have, and it's been a chess match the entire game, and defense versus offense, and the lacking of picking up those final cutters is what has led to most of the goals.
Jenna Collignon had 4 points for Yale, 2 goals, 2 assists. Taylor Lane had 3 assists, and Sky Carasquillo scored twice. On the Stanford side, though, Aaliyah Poliski with 2 goals and 2 assists, and Ailish Kelly had a hat trick in the first half, and that late goal from Poliski is the difference in our score right now.
Yeah, and we'll see if both teams are going to be able to continue this out and see if it is going to stay back and forth. We'll see what happens with the penalties. We'll see what happens with man up, man down, and see who's going to come out as a winner.
Talked about how both goalkeepers are young, but highly touted coming in. Pearson and O'Connor each had 4 saves in that first half. That was that last goal, and you could tell Poliski was excited about it. It gave Stanford the 8-7 lead, which they hold into the break. Our first half stats here coming up are pretty close between the two teams, I should say. The one thing that kind of stands out maybe, Christine, is that bottom line, because as close as the draw controls were for the majority of those 30 minutes, Stanford kind of started to take control towards the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, and it's something that Stanford still has to pay attention to, because they won the draw controls versus Virginia on Sunday, but still lost the game, and you don't normally see that. So here we see them. They're up by 4 right now. A few of those were penalties called, so Yale has to be a bit more disciplined on those draws, and then they'll see if they can even it up.
It's interesting with the clears, right? Both teams are perfect, and in other games around the country so far this year where teams have tried to ride fairly aggressively, it's led to tons of whistles, tons of cards, and comparatively, neither of these teams have been particularly aggressive on the ride, trying to make it difficult for opponents to clear, and thus, not that many cards in this game. It's not really different from last year or years past, whereas other games around the country have had upwards of 15 cards in the first couple weeks of the year.
And I think that's going to be kind of the trend that we're going to continue to see. You're not going to see much contact beside the draws in between the 30s. It's going to be no contact, no touching. I hate to say it, let them go through into their offensive zone, and then you get down and start playing aggressive defense.
What do you feel like makes the difference after you watch 30 minutes of these two teams? What do you think decides the winner this afternoon?
I think it's going to be, I hate to put this on the officials, not necessarily the officials, but it's going to be those penalties. It's going to be the man up, man down, and who's going to capitalize on it. So it's not necessarily the officials, because obviously the player will be making the foul or going against the rules, but I honestly think that's what's going to happen, and I really think that's what cost the Stanford the game against Virginia as well. Their penalties down to the last minutes in that fourth quarter is kind of what lost them the game.
It'll be Carasquillo and Frist on the opening draw of the third quarter. Pops right into Vaughn's stick, and Yale will have the first possession out of halftime.
And you see Yale already making the change, having Carasquillo now taking those draws, and right now, 1 for 1.
Easy clear for Emmy Pascal for the Bulldogs. The sequence Christine is referencing, with about 8 minutes left in the Virginia game last Sunday, Stanford had the ball, it was tied, and they got called for an offside on a substitution mistake. And after that, never led the game again. Virginia scored the next 2 goals, so Stanford looking to close stronger today. Yale's first game of the year. We'll see how they execute in a tight game in the second half. Carasquillo with the ball in her stick, gives it up for Collignon. 4 points already for the preseason All-American. Pass across for a cutting lane, and the save made. Pearson barely got a stick on it. Ball is loose, a fight for it. Still loose on the turf there. And finally, the whistle goes against Yale as Kate Bellissimo had it for a moment, and then Carasquillo just knocked it away from her. Bellissimo, another one of the Stanford players playing back in her home state today. She is from Darien, Connecticut, just like her teammate Sarah Jakes. Here is Jordan Case now for the Cardinal. Dangerous pass, but Jakes has it. Can Stanford take the game's first 2-goal lead? Poliski, good pass in front. Shot was high from Kelly.
And that's Kelly cutting through the middle, again untouched.
Jordan Case again. Still 50 on the shot clock. Vaughn tried to jump the passing lane, as she always does, led the Ivy League and caused turnovers per game a season ago. Case finds a little space and scores. Jordan Case goes 5-hole and scores for the second time today.
And if you notice on offense, what Stanford's doing, they're grabbing McGuckin out of the middle. They're taking the rover and bringing her off out of that middle of the 8-meter, which is just leaving it wide open for them to get free shots.
Looking over at the Yale sideline, Cami Donadio, who was the starting goalie for a lot of last year, just took her jacket off and started to get suited up. So it looks like Yale might make a change in goal here, or at least soon. Now down 9-7.
And talking with the coaching staff yesterday, it was always going to be O'Connor starting, but Donadio is right there, and obviously she proved herself last year where she can step in at different situations, and this could be one of those situations. Stanford is going low and hard, which is it's making it hard for O'Connor to stop.
Donadio started 8 times last year. She is talking on the sideline with her head coach, Erica Bamford, at the moment, but at least for now, not coming in yet. Looks like she'll just get warmed up. Carasquillo on the draw once again for Yale against Frist. Carasquillo took the last 2 draws of the first half and now the first 2 of the second half after Collignon had been in there previously. Carasquillo tries to pop this one forward, and Taylor Lane has it for the Bulldogs. Feels like a big possession here, Christine. First time Yale's been down 2 today. 3-on-2 if they rush it. It's Vaughn, fakes it, good feed, score! Second of the game for Connigan.
And that is an important goal, just to chip away at the Stanford lead right now. Coming off Carasquillo from that draw, able to push it forward to start that offensive attack, and numbers up.
And you see kind of the shoulder fake from Vaughn. Everyone thought she was going Collignon's way, made the defenders commit, and that left Connigan wide open to make this a 9-8 game.
And a lot of times that's all it takes is a little bit of a feint, a little bit of a shoulder duck in, get those defenders thinking you're going to shoot, and then dish it off.
So Stanford's lead of 2 goals lasted 18 seconds, and it's back to a 1-goal game. Yale has controlled both draws since halftime. And this one goes right to Lane, so Carasquillo having some success here against the reigning draw specialist of the year in the Pac-12. Stanford picks second in the preseason Pac-12 poll behind the defending champion USC Trojans. Yale third in the preseason Ivy League poll. Penn, the defending champ, is number 1, and Princeton, who Yale beat in the Ivy League semifinal last year, is number 2, but a very close poll in both conferences. Vaughn once again drops it back for Taylor Lane. Everson around for Jenna Collignon. Here's Lane. Vaughn again. Carasquillo. Knocked out of her stick, and a caused turnover for Riley Bouvier. Whistle against Carasquillo, no card, but it is Stanford ball. I heard someone yell that's a warning. I think that might have been the Stanford coaching staff, not the officials, so not a real warning, but...
And unfortunate there for Sky Carasquillo, just unable to find any open lanes to get the goal.
So Stanford with the ball up by 1, almost 4 minutes in. Behind the back chance and a save. O'Connor made the stop on Bouvier, who went for the highlight reel there.
That would have been a pretty one for sure, behind the back.
Pascal had it knocked away, but fortunately for Yale, it bounces right to Connigan. And now a call against Stanford This is going to be a card against Aaliyah Poliski, and it will be a green card. So Yale a woman up for a minute. And they'll run the shot clock back to 90.
And that one, was close, right? When you hit someone so high, when you hit them up in the head, it sometimes deems borderline yellow. And with this official, in soccer, they keep their cards in different pockets. This official here has all the cards, all the same colors in one pocket, so you never know what color she's pulling out.
Yeah, and she has the red one on top.
Right, exactly. So she's kind of like flaunting a little bit. Is it a red, yellow, green? Play a little roulette, a little card roulette.
Bulldogs have one player up goal in the game. Chance to tie it here. Fallon Vaughn for Carasquillo. Collignon finds a little space that closes quickly. Taylor Lane with 3 assists today. Vaughn finds Connigan. She scores! Hat trick for Connigan, and the game's tied.
And what a pretty goal this is. I mean, just not enough pressure on the ball there by Stanford. Gives her too much time and space, and she's able to find the bottom corner. I mean, there is such little space for that ball to sneak through, but Connigan found a way.
That was such a great shot there from our camera crew. From that angle, it looked like there was no space. It almost looked like the ball bounced on the turf and turned left a little bit. And in the back of the net. So just as quickly as Stanford went ahead by 2, Yale has come back to tie the game at 9. This has been everything you could have hoped for on opening day for Yale and game 2 for Stanford. Remember, that Virginia game for the Cardinal last Sunday was a 10-9 final. I think we're getting past 10-9 today, Christine.
I think so. I mean, these teams are just so even. We saw those halftime stats. Everything's the same.
Bouvier had it knocked away. Poliski able to pick it up, though. Stanford trying to get the lead back. Yale on a mini run here of 2-0. Neither team's had a run of more than 2-0 in the game. Kelly double teamed behind the net. Good control of the ball there by Bouvier. Still no points in the game for Stanford's leading scorer from a year ago, Annabelle Frist. Feed into the middle, and a shooting space call against Yale, so free position chance coming for the Cardinal. This is Sarah Jakes, the redshirt junior from Darien, Connecticut. Jakes cuts back towards the middle, and Stanford will reset with 43 on the shot clock. Jay Brown again. Jakes again, trying to cut through the defense. 6 gone by in the third quarter. Jay Brown had Stanford's first goal of the game. And here the call of 20 on the shot clock.
And keep your eye on number 2 for Yale, Molly McGuckin. She's the rover. She's the one picking up all these cutters.
Jakes running out of space and time, throws it back towards the middle, and this is going to be a turnover against Stanford. It stays in play, so officially a shot clock violation. Well-defended possession there for the Bulldogs.
And a well-needed one as well. Great stop by the Bulldogs.
And now they can take their first lead since pretty early in the second quarter. Stanford led by 1 at halftime, extended the lead to 2 in the third at 9-7, but Yale has scored 2 in a row.
So let's see what play Yale has, what offensive motion they are going to play right now to try and beat this tough Stanford defense.
Worth mentioning as well, the wind is starting to pick up, and Yale is going with the wind here in the third quarter. That pass got through to Kitagawa somehow. Taylor Lane to the top for Vaughn. Connigan with a couple goals in the quarter for Yale. Hat trick for the game. Connigan, goal line extended. Collignon across. Shooting space against Stanford. Free position for Jenna Collignon.
An excellent ball movement by Yale there to create that.
5 saves today for Pearson. Collignon goes. And that hit off of Pearson and then the post, I think. Big save for Lucy Pearson. Vaughn knocked that away. A lot of contact on the ground ball. Stanford comes away with it, though. Olivia Rose, that's a good job.
Nice spin.
Redshirt freshman out of Stevenson, Maryland. Stanford looking to run. Whistle against Yale, and now Stanford will have the free position opportunity. And it will be Sarah Jakes again from that same spot she just passed out of. See what she does this time. Jakes this time, quick pass, in front, score! Ailish Kelly again. 4 goals in the game for Kelly, and Stanford's back ahead 10-9.
And how dominant has Kelly been?
10 minutes and a 10-9 lead for Stanford. 7:04 to go, third quarter, and will step aside from New Haven.
Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals.
Every day you push yourself to be better. Working long days and even longer nights. You volunteer, put others first. Then you're home. Spending quality time with family. Tucking the little one into bed. When your day is over, you have earned the most comfortable night's sleep. You deserve a Saatva luxury mattress.
The exclusive home of the complete 30 for 30 library. Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN Plus. Live sports. ESPN Plus Originals. The exclusive home of the complete 30 for 30 library. Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN Plus.
Fourth we go here at Reese Stadium in New Haven. 10-9, Stanford with the lead over Yale. Justin Galanti, Christine Huber, and the whole gang glad to be with you on this Saturday afternoon, part of a lacrosse doubleheader here in New Haven. The Yale men's team will open up its 2024 season later this afternoon, 3:30 scheduled start against the Villanova Wildcats. The Bulldogs ranked 10th in the preseason poll, both the coaches and the media polls. But a lot of business to sort out in this game, Christine. Just barely any separation throughout the afternoon. Stanford with the most recent goal from Ailish Kelly. Now 4 goals in the game from the 2-time All-Pac-12 selection.
Yeah, and I mean, she has just been unstoppable in there. She's scoring all different ways. That last one, she just kind of puts it over the top of the goalie, but the other ones, you'll see her aim low and hard away from the goalie's stick is what Stanford is known for doing.
Stanford and Yale knotted up in shots on goal, 15-15. Stanford an 11-9 advantage on the draws. Kara Squillo remains in the draw circle for Yale against Annabelle Frisk, the reigning Pac-12 draw specialist of the year, the all-time leader in draw controls in Cardinal history. Carasquillo has won 3 of 4 since halftime. Not to herself, but Yale has won 3 of 4 with her in there. Vaughn trying to get in, bounces right to Frist. So another draw control for Annabelle Frist. At 138 last year, most in the Pac-12. This, of course, the last year of the Pac-12. And Stanford feels like it has a great chance to win the final Pac-12 title. This is Jakes for the Cardinal. Around Carasquillo, gives it up now for Gilbert. 6.5 to play in the third quarter. Jay Brown for Jordan Case again, knocked away from her, but a whistle goes against Katie Clare, so it'll stay with Stanford. Cardinal coming off missing the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2017 last year. And a heartbreaking season opening loss on the road against Virginia, who was ranked 16th in the country at the time. That was a 10-9 final. You see the score right now, Stanford ahead, 10-9 against Yale. Jay Brown with 20 to shoot. Goal line extended. Case once again, all the way to the top of the fan. That shot is well wide from Frist. I believe that's her first shot of the game. And now the shot clock is down to 5 and running, and Stanford's going to run out of time here. Shot clock violation. It's Yale ball, so another big stop for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, that is a big stop as well. Stanford having a little bit of a mental mistake right there, not realizing how little time was left on the shot clock. But I tell you, Yale did a great job picking up those cutters through the middle and keeping Stanford outside on the fan.
And there is a whistle. Thought we might have our first failed clearance of the day for either team. Instead, it'll stay with Yale. The Bulldogs are 12 for 12 today. Stanford is 10 for 10. Emmy Pascal splits a couple. And Yale can get set up here with Everson. Collignon with 4 points today. Vaughn, Connigan, Lane all have 3 for the Bulldogs. Vaughn moves in, finds Taylor Lane at the top. Half a minute to shoot here. We approach 4 minutes to go. Kitagawa, tough pass for Collignon. It's broken up and taken away by Olivia Rose.
And that would have to be a perfect pass to be able to get that through. There were 4 Stanford defenders right there in the middle on Jenna Collignon.
Good stretch pass to clear in here for the Cardinal, and they want to run. Gilbert moving in, gives this up. Case to the top for Brown. She's knocked down. I guess she just lost her footing, though, and Yale takes the ball. It's Bella Saviano. Bulldogs with a numbers advantage back the other way. And now Carasquillo will pull it out with the Bulldogs down by 1. Collignon's been a little quiet in the third quarter.
She really has, and you can tell they're trying to force it into her. But I'd rather see them work it about first, really get that defense moving, and then find her on that final pass.
Vaughn for Lane. Vaughn again. Tough pass taken away again. Emma Capata gets the turnover. Caused 10 turnovers last year, and that's her first this season.
And it seems like Yale's in a little bit of a panic offensively when pregame the goal was to work it about and use all of the shot clock. So I don't know why they're trying to really thread the needle and force it in.
Teams trading stops here in the latter stages of the third quarter. Jakes. Off the fake. Pass comes off a stick. Kelly able to run it down, though. Lobs it up, gets out of the double team. Gilbert takes a little bump from Saviano. Jay Brown again. Grad student from Dallas. Jakes comes back to the top. Now Gilbert, under 2 to play in the third quarter. Kelly takes a bump from Lane. Still working in around. Jakes from X. Jakes back to the top. Gilbert, a fake, not a lot of room to work with. Dumps it in front for Brown. Lost her footing, but she was knocked down. So a whistle against Yale with 13 on the shot clock and a minute 39 to play in the third quarter. Free position chance coming for the Cardinal.
And Yale is not liking that call at all. They thought she was just diving and going with the ball on the pass.
Jay Brown fires. It's off the post. Wow, what a rifle from Brown. Shot clock does reset, though, so Stanford gets a fresh 60. And a goal, Jordan Case. Stanford back ahead by 2.
Stanford goal, number 13, Jordan Case.
And these low, hard shots, I mean, it's what the scouting report says Stanford does, right? They're always going to go low and hard opposite of the goalie's stick. And, I mean, we've seen about more than half of their goals today. That's exactly how they've scored.
Jordan Case scores her third goal of the game. So second Stanford player with at least 3 today. And the Cardinal, who led by 1 after 2 quarters, are ahead by 2 with 81 seconds to play. And Yale is making the change in goal now. Cami Donadio, the junior from Winter Park, Florida, who started 8 games last year and was second in the Ivy League in goals against average, takes over in goal for Laura O'Connor. Her career debut seemingly done with 5 saves and 11 goals allowed today, and Donadio takes over.
Yeah, Donadio has this experience, right? She has it playing against these top teams and top-level squad. So let's see if she's going to be able to stop these low shots opposite of her stick.
Big draw here, and Lane has it for the Bulldogs. So draw controls are now 12-10 Stanford. Yale with the ball, plenty of time to work with, down by 2 here in the third quarter. Stanford has outscored the Bulldogs 3-2 since halftime. Here is Carasquillo. Tough pass, Kitagawa handles it. Shot clock will not be an issue, but that pass might. It's a Yale turnover as Jakes came back to get it. Only the 7th turnover of the game for Yale. Stanford has 10. And the Cardinal now with a chance to take the game's first 3-goal lead. Jakes moves in, and she was knocked down. The shot went wide. No call. Will just stay with Stanford as they backed it up. Tough pass into the middle, off a body there. Picked up by Bouvier. Less than 20 to go in the third quarter. Jay Brown into the middle. Bouvier had a chance at it. Still loose there, and Mary Megan Wright picks it up for the Bulldogs. 5 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Carasquillo with 2 and 1, and the third quarter is over. Stanford adds a goal to its halftime lead, and the Cardinal lead it 11-9 as we head to the fourth.
Support your
half. 1 and 2. 2 and 4. Half of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So let's retire inequality. Let's step forward together, and let's rise together, because dignity, security, retirement is for all.
This letter is for you. From what I hear, you're supposed to be the next Tom Brady. You're not the next Tom Brady. You're the next you. Compare yourself to nobody but the kid in the mirror. The one who knows that who you are today is just a piece of who you're going to become. Sincerely, Tom. You wrote this. Yeah.
as an athlete, for many of us, it remains a part of your identity really for the rest of your life. I was fortunate enough to have many people there helping me during my athletic career, and so to now be able to give that back to my patients, to be able to help them, is incredibly fulfilling.
Fourth quarter about to get started here at Reese Stadium. 11-9 is the Stanford lead. Justin Glancy, Christine Huber, and the whole crew with you on what's turned into a pretty nice Saturday afternoon. It was a snowy morning, turned into a nice day. Cami Donadio came in right at the end of the third quarter in goal for Yale, made the one save she was asked to. And now the junior out of Florida will be asked to kind of hold the fort here in the fourth quarter and see if Yale can make a comeback. The Bulldogs playing in their first game of the year. Stanford has this experience from last Sunday. They were in a tight game the whole way against Virginia. Didn't go their way at the end. And we'll see what happens here in the fourth quarter today. Bulldogs will be back in action on Wednesday this week at home against Quinnipiac. Stanford will play on Monday at Holy Cross before heading home for their home opener next Saturday against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Low-scoring third quarter. Stanford 3 goals, Yale just 2. Defenses took over a little bit after a very offensive first half.
Yeah, and I think there were limited fast breaks and transitions as well, which helped those defenses.
Carasquillo remains in on the draws for the Bulldogs, working against Frist. And Carasquillo with the win to herself, but just threw it away. Maybe got a little rush there. Ball still not picked up, though, and now a whistle against Yale, and that, I think, will be a card against Sydney Grogan. Officials will talk this over. You know, worth mentioning, there's been a lot of talk around the country, Christine, about the way the game's being officiated this year, and frankly, how long games have been taking. This crew's done a great job today. There's been a lot of flow to this game for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And again, it's tough because major rules, I feel like, come out every other year for women's lacrosse, right? And it's like we need the Nickelodeon version of Dora the Explorer to explain what is going on.
Well, both coaches will get the explanation here. So it'll be an illegal check against Yale, a green card against Grogan. And Stanford will have the ball and be a woman up. 1 minute opportunity for the Cardinal, who have not scored. A woman up so far today.
And that's that area that we've been talking about all day. Basically any foul between the 30-yard lines, it's going to be a green card. And Grogan was just going for the ball, and Stanford player was down low going for the ball as well. But anything inside that 30, it's such a big penalty to be down a man for a minute.
Don't forget, Stanford's the team going with the wind here in the fourth quarter. Annabelle Frist to the top of the fan. Gilbert gives it up for Brown. Goal line extended. Jake scores! And Stanford has its largest lead of the day.
Stanford goal from number 7, Sarah Jakes.
And Jake's doing such a great job. Look at that footwork, just tiptoeing around the crease because she was so close to it and just had to tight walk that line and basically walk it into the goal.
So Sarah Jakes playing back in her home state of Connecticut today. Scores her second goal of the game. She has 2 assists as well. Second team all Pac-12 and Pac-12 all-tournament team last year. Puts the Cardinal ahead by 3, and all of a sudden, Yale starting to feel a little pressure with Stanford finding its game late in this one. Jakes was an extremely highly rated recruit, 6th in her class back in 2020 out of Darien High School. Carrasquillo had it for a moment, poked free, and Vaughn comes away with it. Big draw control for the Bulldogs, and now they go to work offensively. Not a must-score situation with 14 minutes to play, but feels like an important possession.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want to start chipping away at this lead.
Pearson has 6 saves today after just 2 against Virginia last weekend.
And even though Yale's down, they have to be patient. Get the defenders moving a bit. Get your cutters through. Send 1, 2, 3 cutters, then hit the 4th.
Vaughn past Kalignan. Ground ball picked up by Stanford. Kapana got it.
Big
and
stop.
That's the 9th turnover of the game for Yale. Cardinal a chance to go ahead by 4. Here's Jakes in front and a turnover. And there's Molly McGuckin making a big play for Yale.
And she has been so busy today as Rover in that zonal defense.
Whistle here on the clearing chance. Yale able to clear it with Saviano. Finds Kalignan. 4 points today for Jenna Kalignan. Here is Vaughn. Kitagawa behind the net for Connigan, who has a hat trick today. Just under 3 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter. Taylor Lane finds Vaughn. Back to the top for Lane. 37 seconds to shoot. Everson, goal line extended. Back for Connigan. Vaughn, shooting space call against Stanford. 28 seconds on the shot clock.
So let's see what Vaughn can do on this. She's usually one who will go straight to goal. Tough angle here at this hash mark.
Vaughn had 10 free position goals a season ago. Just waiting here for a Stanford player to tie her shoe before we can get back going. See if Vaughn tries to test Pearson. A tip pass got to Lane though. 23 seconds to shoot. Another dangerous feed. Kitagawa's got to pick this up. She does. But Yale only has 15 seconds to work with now.
Yeah, they have to start going towards goal now.
10 seconds. Connigan. Kalignan. Great catch, and she scores!
Wow.
Special stuff from the All-American.
And that's exactly why she is an All-American. What a tough ball to snag out of the air like that, and then to control it, bring it down, and put it right by the goalie. Maybe this will give Yale some momentum to try and get a few more goals and even this game up.
3 goals, 5 points in the season opener for the junior out of Hinsdale, Illinois. She was 2nd in the Ivy League in goals per game last year, 3rd in points per game, and 4th in draw controls per game. 12-10 is the score, 11:27 to play.
And with Sky now doing the draw controls, that opens up Kalignan when she's not doing as much work and can focus offensively.
Draws are 12-12.
Stats have been pretty even all game, I have to say.
Carasquillo and Frist once again here. Every possession so important down the stretch, and Carasquillo went too quickly. Stanford ball. Should say that Stanford has been awarded the ball on a number of Yale violations on the draw today. I don't think Stanford has violated a single time.
Yeah, and I agree. It hasn't been penalties to bring players down, but it's just been those mental mistakes where they lose the ball. Yale loses the ball.
So Stanford up by 2. Jakes from goal line extended. Yale starting to pressure a little further out defensively, and a shooting space call against the Bulldogs. Katie Clare, playing in her first career game, did not agree, and it's Jakes on the free position. Donadio with 1 save, 1 goal allowed since coming in. Jakes fakes it, and a takeaway. How about that by Clare, making up for the last call? And that is a whistle against Stanford. Nearly looked like a turnover, but how about that from Clare? She got called for the shooting space a moment ago, steps right in the passing lane and causes the turnover.
Yeah, big time play by the first-year player.
Yale was number 1 in the Ivy League last year and caused turnovers per game. They have caused 6 in this game. Stanford has caused 5.
And that's exactly what you want to do. She didn't agree with the call, but stays with the play and gets a big-time steal.
Now let's see what Yale can do offensively. It had been a while since they scored until the Collignon goal, and that came off a broken play. So let's see what they can do with set offense here. Under 10 to play. Vaughn to the top. Collignon. Defended by Kelly. Everson. Connigan back for Everson. Goal line extended. Taylor Lane to the top for Carasquillo. Pass got knocked away. Kitagawa going after it for Yale. She has it, but again, a low shot clock. 15 to shoot. Connigan for Everson from X. 10 to shoot. Up top for Vaughn. Takes a huge bump there, and that's going to be a card against Annabelle Frist with only 6 on the shot clock. This will be a yellow. A cross check.
And that was high. That was a high cross check. That's why it's a yellow.
And that is a huge call, because not only does it take Frist off the field for 2 minutes, it also gives Yale the reset of the shot clock to 90. That's back-to-back possessions where Stanford has defended well for about 80 seconds. Last time they gave up a goal. This time they give up a penalty, and we'll see what comes of it. Yale has 1 goal in this game with the woman up attack. Carasquillo gets the screen from Vaughn.
And no need to force it here, being numbers up.
9 to go. And a shooting space call against the Cardinal. Goes against Olivia Rose, and this is certainly a spot Vaughn could go from. 10 free position goals last year. First team All-Ivy Leaguer last season. Fallon Vaughn, saved by Pearson, rebound score! Taylor Lane, it's a 1-goal game.
An excellent first save by Pearson right there. Little kick save to keep Fallon Vaughn out. Look at that. But who's right there on the doorstep? Taylor Lane with the goal, cuts this game to 1.
Stanford has had the lead pretty much the entire way since early in the second quarter, but Yale has not allowed them to pull away. And it's back to a 1-goal game with 8:54 to play. And we're back to even strength as Yale gets the woman up goal. And give a lot of credit to Erica Bamford. This switch on the draws to Carasquillo has really benefited the Bulldogs.
Yeah, for sure. It's right now 13-12 in Stanford's direction, but could even it up right here.
It was 10-6 Stanford at halftime. Frist pops it up, has it herself. So that's what you ask your star to do. She gets you a big possession. In a game of runs, who will have the last run to win it? Approaching the midway point, about a minute away from it here in the fourth quarter. Sarah Jakes works it for Brown. Bouvier forced away from the net.
Yale doing well on their defensive slides right now.
High pass, great catch by Poliski. She fires, saved Donadio. Donadio tries to start the clear herself for Pascal. Taylor Lane lost the ball and takes a bump in the back. There's no call. It's the first failed clear in the game for either team, and it comes at a huge time.
Wow, and I think the Yale sideline here thought she got bumped, but she was going to dive for the ball just to save it.
And a timeout is taken. Danielle Spencer takes it for Stanford. 7:33 to play, and the Cardinals still up 1.
Live sports.
Volkanovski versus Taporia. I'm so pumped for this fight. Ilya been running his mouth. I'll show him what's up. I'm gonna knock him out in the first round.
This pay-per-view is wild.
Division, featherweights, you better watch out. I'm here to stay!
Ilya Topuria, an undefeated force who could be destined for greatness.
I'm going to be a legend.
Ilya been running his mouth, and I'll show him what's up. I'm gonna knock him out.
Pistachio cream cold brew.
Thanks.
Women's college hoops on ESPN and ABC.
The Stanley Cup Final on ABC and ESPN+.
Exclusive articles and tools. Top leagues and tournaments. Best stories in sports. On ESPN+.
Couldn't ask for a better game so far today. 12-11, Stanford has the lead. 7:35 to play in the fourth quarter. And the Cardinal just took a timeout with the ball. 75 seconds on the shot clock. And Christine Huber, each team has punched back and forth throughout the afternoon. Neither has had a lead greater than 3. Yale has not led by more than 1, but seems like each team has answered every run the other has made.
Yeah, they really have, and it's been an exciting game, back and forth, transition play, a clean game.
So let's see what Danielle Spencer drew up in her timeout. 2-time Ivy League Coach of the Year at Dartmouth, now back in Ivy League country as the head coach at Stanford. And a quick whistle here. And the official will head over to the scorer's table and see what it is. So it sounds like the official was not thrilled with some of the fans here. But
yeah, I think she said they were cursing. I don't know if players were cursing or fans were cursing.
Well, either way, I don't think that should stop the game in the middle of a possession. You should do that after, but you know, that's kind of what people are talking about with pace and rhythm of game. Either way, we restart with Stanford the ball. Stanford having the ball, I should say. Frist to the top for Brown. And now Poliski whips it across. This is Jordan Case. 35 seconds to shoot. Shooting space call against the Bulldogs. Jakes will have the free position. 30 seconds on the shot clock. This is a tough angle for Jakes, who has 2 goals and 2 assists today. Drops it down, goal line extended. Brown out to the top. 20 seconds to shoot in a 1-goal game. Bouvier one-on-one around Saviano into a triple team. Backs it out, 8 to shoot here. Poliski has to go. It's Case with 3 to shoot. Case has to get a shot off. Donadio the save.
Another excellent defensive stop for Yale. Picking up those cutters, keeping them out beyond the fan.
And how about another decision that Erica Bamford made in this game, bringing Donadio in. She's made 3 saves and only given up 1 goal since entering. And Erica Bamford will take a timeout with 5:45 to play. What a game this has been here in the opener for Yale, second game for Stanford. And this is something that coaches talk about all the time, right? Can you have learning experiences from previous games? Stanford was in a game just like this on Sunday against Virginia. They did not execute down the stretch, and their coaches were in their coaches' words. And Danielle Spencer said, we need to execute better late today, and here they have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good timeout call by Erica Bamford, as Cami Donadio was just out of the goal, trying to start that clear, but unable to get it going. So I think start fresh, figure it out, figure out your next few plays here, and you can almost write out the next 6 minutes and try and get a goal or 2.
See the road ahead for Stanford. Holy Cross on the road on Monday, and then they'll head back home for Vanderbilt and Davidson. And then on the other side for Yale, they'll be home on Wednesday to play an in-state opponent in Quinnipiac, and then 2 road games against Temple and Princeton before coming back home for a ranked opponent in UConn and then Central Connecticut. Christine, during that timeout, both coaches were at the middle of the field talking with all 3 of the officials, and I assume it was about the fan situation from before. And I wouldn't be surprised if Danielle Spencer wasn't thrilled, because, you know, that whistle came because of
for possession.
Well, it came because of a Yale issue, but the officials decided to stop Stanford's possession after Yale had gotten a look at what they were trying to do offensively. Anyway, Stanford putting more pressure on here with the ride. They forced a failed clear last time after not really putting a lot of pressure on the ride all game. Saviano's got to go with it, finally gets across midfield, has to come back, and still carrying it. 5:20 to play. Saviano knocked down, and this will be a whistle against Stanford. No card against Ellie Johnson. So it stays Yale ball. But Stanford was able to force Yale to take a lot of time off the shot clock. It's down to 30 seconds. Bulldogs trying to tie the game. 5 minutes to play. Here's Collignan, the All-American, trying to find room in the middle. Now it's Vaughn right down Main Street. She's shut off. 10 to shoot for the Bulldogs. Connigan in front. Everson ties the game.
Everson is so smart and such a genius around that crease, and that's all she does. She's a sniffer, right? She sniffs out the goal. She's in front of the goalie, outside the crease, and is able to just put it in the back of the net. And we haven't seen too much of her today as far as scoring, but wow, that's a big one.
And you talked about how Yale wanted to use a lot of shot clock today and execute late in it. Yale's on a 3-0 run here, and all 3 goals have come very late in shot clocks.
Yeah, and that's what the coaching staff wanted. They wanted to use that shot clock, work the ball around, get the defenders shifting and get them out of position, send through some ace cuts or wheel cuts to get them moving, and it'll open up gaps for the next cutter.
So after Stanford took a 3-goal lead for the first time today, Yale has scored the last 3 and tied it with 4:40 to play. Both teams looking for that first win of the year. Stanford 0-1. This is Yale's first game, and Carasquillo won the draw clean to herself. 4:30 to go. Saviano shows her speed. The sophomore gives it up, and Yale can set up. They have not led since early in the second quarter.
So Yale needs to do the same thing here. Be patient. No need to force it into all those Stanford defenders in the middle.
Yale's last lead was 3-2. Carasquillo moves in and scores! The Bulldogs are back ahead.
This is what I'll call a slam dunk by Carasquillo. Up, keeping that stick, that ball high, and then just slams it in the back of the net. Gives Yale the lead.
4 consecutive goals for the Bulldogs. Carasquillo with an opening day hat trick. And Yale's up 13-12 with 3:53 to go. Whether it's opening day or any day, this is as good as a game as you will see.
And these are 2 top national programs coming through and just battling to the end.
Really, really key draw control here. And with Stanford reeling a little bit, you feel like Frisk needs to have this one. They've given up 4 goals in a row after leading 12-9. Carasquillo's got it. Lost it, though. Knocked back, and it's picked up for a moment by Stanford. Where's the whistle sending it? Stanford's way. Big draw control for the Cardinal. And give the credit to Jordan Case, who ran that ball down and drew the foul.
And Sky had it, just unable to keep control of it.
So where does Stanford go in its biggest possession of the game?
Ooh.
That'll be a card, you would think. Actually, it won't be, just a foul.
Yeah, I think she was low enough with the cross check.
So a free position coming for Jay Brown. A goal and 2 assists today for her. Brown fires way wide. Stanford backs it up, though. Plenty of time to shoot. 70 seconds. Dangerous pass, and it's taken away. McGuckin once again.
McGuckin coming up big today with those steals as Rover.
And then a hard hit there, and that's going to be a card against Aaliyah Poliski, a green card. And that 10 seconds there, Christine, just felt a little rushed by Stanford. They tried to go very quickly with 70 seconds on the shot clock. And then Poliski kind of just took a whack there. Yale trying to clear. So she has to go off for a minute, and it's Yale ball with 3:05 to play.
And remember what I said, these penalties become so important towards the end of the game. Now Stanford has a player, they're playing a man down for the next minute until or if Yale scores. It is a releasable penalty, so let's see what Yale can come up with and try and get a goal to move ahead by 2.
Right, a good long pass for Pascal. Yale on a 4-0 run here to turn a 12-9 deficit into a 13-12 lead with 2.5 to play now. And if Yale wants, they can run this game all the way down to about a minute and a half to go. Loose ball after the pass was deflected, and Collignon came away with it. Frisk jumped in the passing lane, almost caused the turnover. 10 seconds left on the penalty time, and 2:10 to go in the game. Back to even strength, 30 seconds to shoot for Yale.
And I think that's part of the strategy there. Use the shot clock rather than the numbers up.
Down to 20 seconds now. Vaughn across for Collignon. Connigan in front, got knocked away. Stanford trying to pick up this ground ball, and a good job by Ailish Kelly to just shovel that to the goalkeeper, Pearson, and Stanford's got it. Less than 100 seconds to play in a one-goal game. The Pac-12's top offense from last year going against the Ivy League's best defense. Stanford needs a goal, and a timeout is taken on the field by Danielle Spencer. I don't know how many coaches have as much confidence in their defense as Erica Bamford does, but they've been so good in the fourth quarter that even not having the ball right now, I think there has to be a little confidence, maybe a lot of confidence on the Yale side. Meanwhile, Stanford, a team that scored 14.5 goals per game last year, had just 9 in the loss against Virginia. They were on a real good pace today, Christine, but only 4 in the second half and 1 in the fourth quarter. Now they need 1 in the next 86 seconds to tie the game.
Yeah, and I think you're right about Bamford putting that faith and trust in this Yale defense. I mean, they work on it. They work on this zonal defense. They play the one rover system. And we've seen McGuckin come up with at least 2 steals now from that rover position. So really a lot of pressure, a lot is going to key on her and her reading and adjusting to all those cutters coming through. Her teammates have to talk to her, and she has to be able to pass those cutters off and just not leave someone open, which we kind of saw more in the beginning of the game. Stanford was able to find those open cutters. They really haven't done too much of that in the second half.
Cardinal with Ailish Kelly scoring 4 goals today. That's their leader. Case has 3. Jakes and Poliski each with 2, and Brown has 1. On the Yale side, hat tricks for Connigan, Collignon, and Carasquillo. Single goals for Vaughn, Lane, Claire, and Everson. And it's a 13-12 Yale advantage. They've scored the last 4 in the game. And now this is gut check time, and Stanford was in a 1-goal deficit late against Virginia less than a week ago. Danielle Spencer wasn't thrilled with their execution. They have a chance to make up for it here today. Meanwhile, Yale, which was the only team in the Ivy League to hold opponents under 10 goals per game last year, needs basically 1 stop to win the game. Our numbers so far very tight between these 2 teams, and if Yale wins, the 2 big decisions Erica Bamford made to switch players on the draw and switch goalies might tell the story of the day.
And yeah, I mean, it's their first game, right? So there's going to be adjustments made. Those are 2 big ones. The big thing is that Yale coaching staff figured it out before it was too late.
So here we go. Stanford ball out of the timeout. Shot clock not an issue at the moment, just under 70 seconds. Bouvier gives it up, goal line extended. Dangerous pass, gets through to Case. Works her way out, back for Jay Brown. Pressured by Wright. Low feed is handled. Kelly for Case, back for Kelly now. Under a minute to play here at Reese Stadium. Poliski, bad pass. It was knocked down by Wright. Goes out of bounds off of Yale. So it stays with Stanford. Shot clock's down to 30. Jay Brown behind the net. Pass knocked away and taken by Saviano. And Yale has the opportunity to run the clock out if they can keep the ball. Saviano was knocked down. They say no call. Wow. Stanford gets it back with less than half a minute to play. Here's Katie Gilbert. Gives it up for Kelly. Back it comes for Gilbert. Kelly again, now Case. 15 to play, 1-goal game. Case is forced away. Pass inside is knocked down, loose ball. Taylor Lane has it, and Yale's gonna win this game. 13-12 is the final, and the Bulldogs win it on opening day.
And credit this Yale defense and Molly McGuckin coming up big again. What a defensive stop at the end.
That last hit behind the net you see results in a red card for Aaliyah Poliski, but they say the game is over. Yale scores the final 4 and wins it on opening day.
Can't get more excitement than that on their first home game of the year. Putting on a show for these fans here.
The Bulldogs hold Stanford to 1 goal in the 4th quarter and win it 13-12. Thanks so much for being with us today. For our entire outstanding crew and my partner Christine Huber, I'm Justin Galanti saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.